Parvana's Journey, Chapter 15. The weeks sped by. Parvana knew that time was passing, but she didn't think to keep track of the days. Some days it rained, but most days were sunny. She knew by the coolness of the evenings that the summer was turning into autumn. "We're down to the last sack of flour," Asif said one morning. He had appointed himself in charge of food supplies. "There's only one full can of cooking oil left and 1.5 sacks of rice." "Are you sure?" Parvana asked. Asif just looked at her with disdain before turning his back and walking away. Parvana climbed up to the lookout point to watch for her mother and think. The breeze at the top of the little hill was chilly. She tried to figure out how long the food would last. They had apples now, too, but not very many. "Even if we're very careful, the food won't last the winter," she said to the air. She had been too busy enjoying herself when she should have been worrying about the coming winter. Layla climbed up the hill and sat down beside her. One of her braids had come loose. Parvana rebraided it as they talked. "Any mothers yet?" Layla asked. "Not today. Maybe tomorrow." "We're running out of food," Parvana said, then wished she could snatch the words back. It wasn't right to worry the little girl, but she would have to know soon, wouldn't she? "Don't worry," Layla said. "The minefield will take care of us." "I hope it happens soon." They watched as a group of planes streamed across a corner of the sky. A moment later, there was a sound like thunder rumbling in the distance. Then they saw dust rise up from the far hills. The girls had seen these planes before. They were nothing special. "Grown-ups killing each other," Parvana said, and she turned away to look for her mother in the other direction. "I kill," Layla said. Parvana looked at her. "I kill pigeons," Layla said. "I don't like to do it, but it's not hard. It must be much harder to kill a goat or a donkey. Is it hard to kill a child?" she asked suddenly. "It should be," Parvana said, "but some people seem to find it awfully easy." "As easy as killing a pigeon?" "Easier, I think." "We eat dead pigeons," Layla said. "What do they do with all the dead children?" Parvana didn't even try to answer that question. She put her arm around her new little sister, and together they watched the bombs go off way in the distance. As the days went by, the children saw many more planes in the sky. The sound of explosions went on around them all night, night after night. "I can't sleep with all that noise," Layla complained. "Don't those grown-ups know there are children trying to sleep down here?" "Maybe we should go somewhere else," Asif said. "Nothing will happen to us here," Parvana said. "Besides, grandmother can't walk very far yet." The old woman had worked up to taking a few steps in the yard, but she was still very slow. All night long, the sky would rumble like a thunderstorm. The noise stopped in the morning, and the children sometimes stayed in bed until midday, catching up on the sleep they had lost. In the late afternoons, Parvana taught school. Layla was eager to learn, but she found it hard to keep still and silent during lessons. Grandmother sat beside Layla, holding her book and listening. Parvana wasn't sure how much she was learning, but she liked having her there. "I don't need your stupid school," Asif announced. He took care of Hassan during the lessons, but Parvana noticed they were always close enough to be able to hear what she was saying. Sometimes she saw him trying to draw the letters in the dust with the tip of his crutch, but he always made sure to rub out his efforts afterward. One afternoon, Parvana was teaching Layla how to count using piles of stones. Hassan was standing on Asif's foot, his arms clinging to Asif's leg. Every time Asif took a step, Hassan swung and giggled. Parvana kept frowning at them. The giggling was distracting, but they kept doing it anyway. Then they heard the sound of an explosion in the field beyond the cannon. "Did you hear that?" Layla yelled as she jumped to her feet. "I told you the minefield would take care of us." She sprinted off down the canyon toward the minefield. Parvana followed her. "Are you too crazy?" Asif hollered. "Get back here!" Parvana paid no attention to him. Although Layla had a head start, Parvana's legs were longer, and soon she was right behind the little girl. They dashed through the field to the place where the dust was billowing from the explosion. "It's a goat!" Layla exclaimed. "The mine only got part of it. Most of it is still here." They each took hold of one of the dead goat's legs and dragged it back across the minefield. Parvana thought again about a spider snatching a fly that flew into its web. Asif waited for them at the mouth of the canyon. He was waving a crutch and yelling at them. "You are both idiots! You could have been killed!" "If you call us idiots, we won't give you any meat for supper," Parvana said. She and Layla laughed as they ducked away from the waving crutch. They put on their most tattered clothes and got the goat ready for cooking. Asif peeled away the skin and chopped the carcass into pieces. They decided to roast most of the meat and put the smaller bones in a pot to boil for soup. "Let's all get cleaned and dressed up," Parvana suggested, after the nasty part of the job was done and they had buried the remains outside the canyon. "Let's have a party." Layla loved the idea, and as supper time grew near and the smell of the roasting goat filled Green Valley, even Asif got into the spirit of it. He washed and put on clean clothes and got Hassan clean and dressed up as well. After helping grandmother clean and change, Parvana scrubbed herself and put on Layla's mother's blue shalwar kameez. Her hair felt soft from the washing. She shook her head to feel it fluff out around her neck. It really was growing back. On impulse, she took a flower from the bottle full of wildflowers Layla kept on the windowsill and tucked it behind her ear. "Oh, Parvana, you look really pretty," Layla said. "Doesn't she look pretty, Asif?" Asif looked at Parvana and made throw-up noises. Parvana turned her back on him. She would not let him ruin the party for her. The roasted goat was delicious. Parvana wasn't sure how long the cooked meat would last without going bad, so everyone ate as much as they could. There was still a bit of light in the sky. Parvana fetched her shoulder bag from the house. She meant to write to Shazia about the meal from the mine, but when she got back to the fire, Layla and Asif were singing. She slung the bag over her shoulder and joined them until the fire burned down into deep red embers. They were still singing when night came, and the bombs started falling again. The thunder noise was much louder tonight. Parvana could feel the earth vibrate beneath her. She put her arm around Layla. Asif held Hassan in his lap. Parvana's heart beat hard in her chest as the children kept singing. The louder the bombs, the louder they sang. Parvana was too scared to be able to think of what else to do. Then a bomb fell right outside Green Valley. The earth shook violently. The noise sounded right through the hands they clamped over their ears. Hassan screamed. Parvana and Asif moved the younger ones over beside the boulders on the edge of the clearing. "Grandmother, come over here," Layla yelled, but Grandmother had rolled back up into a ball and covered her head. Layla tried to go to her, but Parvana wouldn't let her. With one hand, she held on to Layla. With the other hand, she held on to Asif, who shielded Hassan with his body. Parvana held on tightly as the earth shook more and more. She held on even though Layla writhed and screamed to get to her grandmother. She was holding on when a bomb fell directly on Green Valley. Dust, rocks, and debris fell on the children's backs. Parvana couldn't tell who was screaming. Maybe it was her. They clung to each other through the darkness of the night as the bombs continued to fall all around them. Silence came with the morning light. There was a large crater in the yard. Grandmother was gone. The house was gone. Green Valley was gone.